After sleeping for a few days, Wen Ming finally stirred awake, his entire body aching as if he'd been trampled by a herd of spirit beasts. Ruyan's voice echoed through his mind, urging him to stop loafing and go find the dragon vein. But Wen Ming waved it off, saying the vein was not about to grow legs and run away. He groaned, wondering if he'd been poisoned. Ruyan dismissed it as a minor poison, nothing serious. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Tao Cece chirped a cheerful, "Good morning, Wen Ming." She called him to breakfast, but he could not help complaining about her lack of knocking etiquette. Cece insisted she'd made it specially for him. A genius-level meal packed with nourishment. She giggled. Wen Ming thought to himself, has the sun risen from the west? Tao Cece actually cooked. He eyed the suspicious-looking dish and wondered if it was even remotely edible. He tried to dodge by saying he'd already eaten, but Cece was not buying it. She threatened to use her newly practiced grappling techniques if he refused. Ominous. Wen Ming did a quick 180, showering her with compliments and promising to savor every bite of her craftsmanship. As he picked up a piece, he silently prayed it would not be more toxic than the poison he'd endured yesterday. To his surprise, the food actually tasted decent. Not bad at all. Despite the looks, Cece eagerly asked how it was, and Wen Ming admitted it was tasty, though a bit overwhelming. He marveled at the unexpected quality, but then noticed a strange heat spreading through his body. Cece proudly declared that everything she made was a masterpiece. Classic. But soon, both of them were flushed and feeling oddly hot. Wen Ming asked Cece if she was all right, and she mumbled that she felt dizzy. In a daze, Cece looked at him and started, "Wen Ming? You..." She leaned in close and slurred. "Wen Ming, you are actually quite handsome." Wen Ming's eyes went wide as he tried to calm her down, then mentally screamed for Ruyan's help. Ruyan's voice chimed in, revealing that the dish contained the legendary love powder, 10 times stronger than the last batch. Wen Ming was horrified. Without warning, Cece shoved Wen Ming to the floor. He gasped, "Cece, what are you?" But Cece, still in a fog, said she'd always misunderstood him. And then, an apologetic, "I am sorry." The scene shifted to the Imperial court, where Empress Wuxin was holding court with Minister Jia Ren. She praised Wen Ming's contributions in quelling the rebellion and announced her intent to promote him to chief eunuch, overseeing all palace affairs. Jia Ren's mind raced. This brat wants to leap to the top using a staged sacrifice play? Not on my watch. Outwardly, Jia Ren agreed, saying Wen Ming indeed deserved a reward. Empress Wuxin nodded, announcing that she would issue the decree promoting Wen Ming without further delay. But Jia Ren quickly interjected, urging her to reconsider. He played his card, claiming that while Wen Ming had saved the emperor, he might be colluding with the Tianlian sect, a heretical organization. Wuxin raised an eyebrow. The Tianlian sect? Are you accusing Wen Ming of conspiring with a heretic sect? Her tone turned icy as she reminded him that framing a loyal official was a capital offense and demanded concrete evidence. Jia Ren produced a dagger, presenting it as proof. He explained that the dagger had been used to wound his son and bore the mark of the Tianlian sect beneath the blade. He also claimed to have sent people to a brothel to find witnesses. Wuxin pressed him, asking if he was certain, to which Jia Ren boldly proposed a face-to-face confrontation with Wen Ming. She agreed to give him that chance, but warned him of the severe consequences if the accusation proved false. Jia Ren thanked her profusely, a smug look hidden behind his humble facade. In his mind, he gloated that with both evidence and witnesses, Wen Ming would have no way to escape this trap. The scene shifted back to Wen Ming's quarters, where he and Cece had just regained consciousness. Wen Ming groaned, his head spinning as he struggled to make sense of the situation. Fragments of memory surfaced. He had eaten something Cece made, and then his eyes snapped open. "Cece!" He suddenly remembered her face leaning in. He clutched his head, trying to piece together the events, and nervously glanced at Cece lying beside him. A horrifying thought struck him. Did I actually sleep with Tao Cece? Panic set in. He had to get out of there before she woke up, but just as he was about to make his escape, a knock at the door startled him. It was Empress Wuxin, calling his name and asking if he was inside. Jia Ren confirmed to Empress Wuxian that civilization had indeed colluded with a cult, insisting that she could verify it herself. Determined to get to the bottom of things, Wuxian agreed to check it out. She knocked on the door, calling out to civilization, who immediately went into panic mode. He thought to himself about how crucial it was that Shaoxin did not find out, as that would mean the end of his manhood. Just then, Ruyan's voice echoed in his mind, teasing that being sisters was not so bad, earning a furious retort from civilization for her sarcasm. He shot back that she would not escape either, but Ruyan calmly pointed out she had nothing to lose, even suggesting it might be for the best. Frustrated, civilization demanded she help him come up with a plan, but then Cece began to stir, groaning in dizziness. Civilization snapped to attention as he realized Cece had woken up. Cece, still disoriented, asked him why he was not wearing any clothes. It was then that she realized she herself was completely naked, her face turning crimson. Covering herself, she was about to scream, but civilization quickly moved to stop her. He clamped a hand over her mouth, shushing her as she accused him of being a pervert. Whispering urgently, he warned her that Shaoxin was right outside, and if she screamed, they were both dead. He told her to calm down because they were in this together now. Cece glared at him, snapping that she was certainly not in this with him. She threw a punch, but civilization noticed it seemed incredibly slow. He caught her fist easily with a sharp crack, surprising even himself. Realizing his reflexes had improved drastically, he told her she never listens to reason. Cece yelped in pain as he threatened to tell Shaoxin that it was her dish that caused all this. He pointed out that the evidence was clear and wondered what Shaoxin would think. Resigned, he declared that if they were going down, they'd go down together, leaving Cece speechless. Struggling against his grip, she demanded he let her go. She muttered in frustration, clearly outmatched. Then she issued a fierce ultimatum. If he breathed a word of this, she would chop him into pieces and feed him to the dogs. Civilization assured her he did not want anyone to know either, though he mentally added that Ruyan already knew. From outside, Wuxian's voice came again, saying she had heard sounds, and asking if he was in there. Panicking, Civilization told Cece they needed to handle this, and she asked if he had a plan. He admitted he did not yet, and decided to test the waters first. Calling out to Wuxian, he pretended he had just woken up, and she replied that she had something very important to ask him. After hearing that, he quickly said he would get dressed and come out right away. Civilization quickly came up with a plan. He would go out to distract Wuxian while Cece escaped through the window. But Cece raised a valid concern. What if Wuxian insisted on coming inside? After a moment of thought, a light bulb went off in Civilization's head. He had an idea. Cracking the door open, he asked Wuxian what important question she had for him. That is when he noticed Jia Ren standing behind her, and his blood ran cold. What was that old fox doing here? His mind raced. Was Jia Ren up to something again? Wuxian asked how he was feeling, and he quickly played the part, saying he was just a bit tired and could not get out of bed. She offered to come in and talk, but he hastily refused, claiming the room was messy and insisting they speak outside. Jia Ren smirked and sneered, suggesting that maybe Civilization was hiding something scandalous. Internally cursing the old man, Civilization declared that he was upright and honest, demanding that Jia Ren explain himself. Jia Ren held up a dagger as proof, asking sarcastically, "Oh, is that so?" He then confronted Civilization directly. "Civilization, does not this dagger look familiar?" Civilization immediately recognized it as belonging to Ruyan, but he feigned ignorance, denying any knowledge. Jia Ren sneered, fully expecting his denial and already having prepared for it. He announced that he had already sent men to the brothel to gather witnesses and physical evidence, leaving Civilization no room to weasel out. Civilization's heart sank. Ruyan was in danger. He had to warn her. Meanwhile, at Ruyan's residence, she heard strange noises and grew alert. She realized with dread that they were coming for her, and far too quickly. With a thunderous kick, the door to Ruyan's room flew open as a group of soldiers stormed inside. Shouting that they would capture the evil cult witch alive, they lunged forward. Ruyan smirked, acknowledging their speed with a hint of amusement. One of them rushed straight at her, blade swinging. But she casually deflected the sword with a simple hair comb. Talk about an unexpected weapon. A swift knee to the gut sent him crumpling in agony. Another soldier jumped in, yelling for backup. Ruyan muttered about the overwhelming numbers as she pulled several sharp hairpins from her comb, ready to fight. She flung the hairpins toward her attackers with deadly precision. The pins struck home, drawing cries of hidden weapons and pained groans. Realizing she was outnumbered, she decided this place was no longer safe. Without hesitation, she leaped out the window to make her escape, but as she fled, a sharp dart came flying toward her out of nowhere. It grazed her hand, drawing blood and a sharp whimper of pain. Back in the palace, Civilization suddenly winced, feeling a sympathetic pain as if connected to her. Through their mental link, he asked, "Are you all right, Ruyan?" She brushed it off as a minor scratch and told him to focus on himself. Meanwhile, the soldiers shouted to chase her down. Wuxin noticed his pale complexion and asked what was wrong. He blamed it on lingering weakness. Jirenyi, ever the suspicious weasel, accused him of hiding something in the room, trying to rile him up. Civilization cursed the old man's stubbornness, comparing it to his son's. Deciding to play along, he said, "If Sir Jia is so certain, why not search the room yourself?" Jia Renyi eagerly accepted, promising to reveal his true colors today. He turned to the emperor and requested permission to conduct the search, which Wuxin granted. Civilization casually warned him to watch his step since the room was a mess. Jia Renyi just scoffed. Confidently, Jia Renyi declared he would never slip. But sure enough, he immediately stepped on some spilled food and went down hard. Leftover food splattered all over his face. Classic instant karma. Spitting out the mess, he cursed, while Civilization put on a show of concern. "Oh my, Sir Jia, are you all right?" Civilization explained that Miss Cece had brought food earlier, and he had accidentally spilled it, apologizing for the mess. Jirenyi finally realized it was food, but then he started feeling strange. A wave of heat and dizziness hit him. The food had been drugged, and just getting it on his skin was enough to make him lose his mind. Civilization watched in awe, wondering just how potent that drug was. Mere skin contact had completely wrecked Jirenyi. Jirenyi's drug-addled eyes locked onto a nearby tree, and in his mind, it transformed into a beautiful woman beckoning him. With a creepy grin, he lunged at the tree, shouting, "Here I come, my beauty." He wrapped his arms around the tree trunk and started kissing it passionately. He cooed about the tree's slender waist and smooth skin, completely lost in his hallucination. The soldiers behind him stared in disbelief, muttering that Sir Jia had finally snapped, or maybe he was just too pent up. Civilization smirked, remarking that Sir Jia was a man of hidden, refined tastes, while Wuxin was completely at a loss for words. The emperor finally exploded, shouting that this was utterly disgraceful in broad daylight. She barked at the guards to stop gawking and drag him away, ordering them to have a physician check if he had gone mad. The guards struggled to pry him off the tree, but he screamed for his beauty and fought them off. Civilization tried to calm Wuxin, suggesting that Jirenyi might be overworked and had a sudden episode. He then quickly added, for the record, that he genuinely did not know anything about the dagger. Wuxin nodded and decided to let the matter drop, praising Civilization for his role in stopping the northern barbarian assassin. Civilization humbly said it was his duty, but inwardly he grinned, thinking he had scored major brownie points and wondered what reward he'd get. Wuxin declared that from today, he would be the Grand Steward of the Inner Palace, overseeing all internal affairs. Civilization was taken aback, blurting out a surprised, "Huh." Wuxin raised an eyebrow, asking if he did not want the job. He quickly recovered and knelt to accept the decree. He almost slipped calling her little, but corrected himself and thanked the emperor for her great favor. Elsewhere, in the dead of night, the sharp crack of a broken bowl echoed through the darkness. A furious voice snarled that their long-planned scheme had failed, and they had gained nothing. A man named Tianli urged the prince to calm down, insisting they had not come away empty-handed. The prince demanded to know what. Tianli revealed that they had discovered someone very interesting. The prince demanded, "Wang Tianli, what do you mean by that?" Tianli replied that the plan's failure was all because of Wen Ming. If he had not shown up mid-battle, Wuxin would have fallen to Haigonggong. "Wen Ming?" the prince echoed. "You mean that kid from the Zhenbei Marquise's household?" Tianli confirmed, saying he witnessed it himself. Wen Ming's martial prowess was on par with Hai Gong Gong. The prince scoffed, calling it impossible. That Wen Ming had never learned a lick of martial arts, so how could he go toe-to-toe with the experienced Hai? Tianli admitted that was exactly the puzzling part, then added there was another question bothering him. Why, Tianli continued, when the Marquis moved north with his whole family, did he leave Wen Ming behind as the only one? Does not it strike you as odd? And did the Marquis really defect to the Xiongnu? Or was that a lie? The prince cut him off, telling him to stop beating around the bush and speak plainly. Tianli dropped a bombshell. What if everything from the start has been a fabrication? The prince's eyes went wide. A fabrication. The prince mulled it over. If the Marquis's defection was fake, then what? Tianli pressed on, saying the odds of it being a setup were very high. Otherwise, how could the son of a traitor not only be spared, but also enjoy the Empress's personal protection? The prince's face paled. Then, that means Wuxin knew all along. Wen Ming is her hidden trump card. Our every move has been within her expectations. Tianli urged calm. Your Highness, do not panic. Think it through carefully. Rest assured, Hai Dafu is dead, Tianli said. Their mistake was killing Hai Gong Gong. Now there is no evidence. In the public eye, he is just a disgruntled eunuch who conspired with the Xiongnu to assassinate the emperor. The prince despaired. So we are completely helpless against her now. Tianli shook his head. Not at all, Your Highness. The chessboard has changed, but we still have one crucial piece we can exploit. Let us start with Wen Ming, Tianli suggested. A fake traitor's son who is now the Empress's chief eunuch, with a little manipulation. A smug smile crept across the prince's face. We'll make him the sharpest knife aimed at Wuxin, the prince declared. Tianli chuckled. Your Highness is very wise. Some time later, a voice rang out. Eunuch Wen Ming, spun around, irritated. What is this about eunuch? How many times do I have to tell you? During work hours, use my official title. Wen Ming snapped. The flustered official stammered. But eunuch is the official title. Wen Ming's anger flared. He had not actually been castrated, so being called eunuch hit a nerve. What did you say? Sorry, Lord Wen, position. The official babbled. It is Lord Wen, not position. Wen Ming corrected. The official quickly amended. Yes, Lord Wen. Wen Ming grumbled to himself about this damn chief role. The workload was insane. All day it is procurement and personnel assignments. It is nowhere near as glamorous as everyone thinks, he complained inwardly. Now that he'd landed the role of chief eunuch, Wen Ming realized he could roam the palace freely, perfect for sniffing out clues about the dragon vein. His thoughts drifted to Liu Ruyan, who still had not replied to his messages. Suddenly, her voice echoed in his mind. What is the matter, Lord Wen? Miss me? Startled, he quickly asked if she was okay. She brushed it off with a casual, just a flesh wound, nothing fatal. Besides, if I died, you'd be dead too. Then she teased him about scoring both a beauty and a promotion. Congratulations all around. He told her to knock it off and assured her that with his free access to the palace, he'd find the dragon vein soon. But his sentence trailed off. Just then, a voice called from behind. Eunuch Wen. Wen Ming spun around, furious. How many times do I have to tell you? It is Lord Wen. But when he saw it was Cece, his anger melted into surprise. She just stammered. You. Her face was bright red, and she could not meet his eyes. She turned away awkwardly, trailing off into silence. Wen Ming softened and asked if she was all right. She pushed his hand away and finally spoke. I am fine, genius that I am. Do not go getting any weird ideas. He started to bring up that day, but she cut him off. That was an accident. Do not flatter yourself. Then she quickly added, the Empress wants to see you, so get moving, and turned to leave. Wen Ming shrugged to himself. It is not like we did not share a bed. Anyway, better go see Xiao Xingxin. She probably needs something. As Wen Ming arrived, Wuxin gently warned him not to push himself too hard since he was still recovering. He brushed off her concern, claiming his body was perfectly fine. But then she dropped a bombshell. The spy had just returned with news about the Zhenbei Marquis. Wen Ming's eyes went wide. Finally, word about his father. Without a word, she handed him a scroll containing the investigation report. As he unrolled it, his expression shifted to shock. The report stated that his father had not defected. though the full details were still under investigation. Inwardly, he groaned, "Dad, you really messed me up. Your precious son almost became a precious daughter." Still, he could not help feeling vindicated. Of course, his loyal father would never rebel. His father had shouldered the false accusation for the kingdom, and Wen Ming had ended up a eunuch because of it. He threw himself at Wuxin's feet, wailing about how miserable he was. The Wen family had served the kingdom faithfully, yet this was their reward, such a tragic fate. Wuxin's voice turned icy cold. "Oh, so you really became a eunuch?" Wen Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had overacted. Stammering, he insisted that, of course, it was true, laughing nervously and saying she loved to joke. Shifting gears, Wuxin announced she had an important mission for him. He blinked in confusion. An important mission. She explained that the barbarian tribes were eyeing the kingdom hungrily. Border battles were intensifying, and they had even sent assassins after her. They needed more firepower. That is when she brought up the explosive he had used against Haidafu. "You mean gunpowder?" Wen Ming asked. "Yes," she nodded. "So that is what it is called." She believed that if gunpowder could be turned into a military weapon, it would relieve the frontline soldiers' burden. Thus, she ordered him to collaborate with the Tang family in the capital to develop this new weapon. Wen Ming was stunned. Develop weapons? He thought about the danger. One wrong move, and he'd be blown to pieces before the weapon was even made. Hesitantly, he admitted to Wuxin that he knew absolutely nothing about making weapons. Her expression darkened, and she simply said, "Is that so?" Then she reminded him that he had taken down Haidafu. Surely this small task would not be a problem, right? Wen Ming forced a laugh and said he supposed he could manage. With a final "I am counting on you," she sealed the deal. Once outside, he muttered to himself that she really thought too highly of him. "All right, time to pay the Tang family a visit," he muttered, brushing off his earlier hesitation. But just then, Ruyan's voice crackled through, full of surprise. "Wait, did you just say the Tang family? Talk about timing." He explained that it was Wuxin's idea. She wanted him to partner up with them to develop gunpowder weapons. "Well, that is convenient," Ruyan said, because she was actually at the Tang mansion right then. He was dumbfounded. "You are there? What are you even doing there?" She reminded him that she got banged up during the escape and had nowhere to run. The entire city had a bounty on her head, and Tang Wanwan, the eldest daughter here, is her old friend, so she has been staying with her to keep a low profile, her only option. Everything clicked. No wonder she reacted so strongly when he brought up the Tang family earlier. She warned him to watch out for Jia Ren, and he promised to be cautious before heading over. Shortly after, Wen Ming stood before the grand entrance of the Tang residence, the words "Mo Fu" engraved on the plaque. He could not help wondering. Ruyan knows Tang Wanwan well. Would Tang Wanwan be a member of the Tianlian sect too? Shaking off the thought, he decided to stop overthinking and just get on with the mission. So he knocked on the door. "Anyone home?" he called out. Meanwhile, from a dark corner down the street, a pair of eyes tracked his every move,